Hi, it's time for another episode of Screens and Pixels. First of all, welcome to my new room. Today I have one TV show, one magazine, and two films. I'm gonna start with the TV show, which is called Top of the Lake. I haven't heard anyone talk about this before except for one of my colleagues, Kate, who recommended this to me. It's set in New Zealand around a lake, and a detective called Robin is sort of coming back to the place where she grew up, and when she's on her way there, she sees a 12-year-old girl called Tui just walking into the lake, presumably trying to kill herself. And when she jumps in and saves the girl, she finds out that she is pregnant. Now, of course, Robin wants to investigate how this happened, but meanwhile, Tui has disappeared. There are, I think, 7 episodes in this TV series. There's so many different characters. There is the backstory of Robin and what happened to her while she was growing up in this town. And for the setting, sort of think about the True Blood werewolf community, but then also lots of beautiful, beautiful scenery. Also, Elizabeth Moss plays the detective, and she is amazing. Also, I really got into the theme song of the show. Then we have a magazine. I've already recorded an episode on the Elle feminism issue, which I think will be up soon after this video, so check that out if you want to hear my opinion on that. But it basically left me sort of disappointed in magazines. I hadn't really read magazines for a long time. And then someone recommended this one to me, and it is called Oh Comely. It took me a while to track down, but it was worth the effort. I don't quite know how to describe this. I would maybe say lifestyle, but I think every issue has a specific theme. On the front of this one, it says gardeners, bad decisions, and Cocoa Pops. There are interviews in here with lots of different sort of gardeners. This man has a roof garden in Shoreditch. I hadn't quite finished reading the entire magazine yet, but apparently there's an Oh Comely book club. There is a lovely playlist here, and what I really like about this magazine is that it's not too crowded. There's lots of open, blank space. It's a really nice sort of calming and relaxing experience just reading this. There is a section here where they display letters that have been sent in, and here is a page about all the contributors, and they've drawn little portraits of themselves. I will definitely be buying more of these. Okay, then the movies. I was paid to see and review Men, Women, and Children, which is that film with Ansel from The Fault in Our Stars and all the text messages on the screen. It's a film about social media and texting and how it changes relationships between people and the way that we interact. But it's not a documentary, it's very much just a normal film. It started off in a really unexpected way, but a way that I really liked. It started off in space. There's the Voyager 1 satellite sort of floating through space, and a voiceover by Emma Thompson explaining that we sent this satellite into space with all this information from Earth on it in the hopes that someone will one day find it. And then they sort of go back and forth to Earth to see what's happening there. I was in a small screening room, and there was a lot of sort of laughing and definitely some gasping at certain moments. It features instances of parental control and anorexia websites and porn. There's a lot of sort of extreme and triggering stuff that I wasn't expecting to see. On the one hand, it's really lighthearted and really funny, and at the same time it's also quite intense, especially towards the end, and I might have shed a tear or two. I can't help but wonder what it's like to see this film if you aren't just heavily involved in the internet like I am and like the friends that I saw it with are. I wonder what it's like to see this film if you are a parent and you have children that are on the internet. There was one moment in the film that I don't want to spoil, but it could have had a really sort of positive twist and led to a lot of understanding, but they sort of chose to go the other way, which had maybe more impact. But I feel like in general the film sort of left a really dark and really sad aftertaste, and I wish one or two of the characters could have had a sort of positive twist at the end of the story, because I feel like some people might leave the theater thinking, oh, the internet's a bad and scary place. It was an interesting film to watch. It was really sad, but I quite enjoyed that. Be warned that it could be a bit triggering, but if it sounds interesting to you, check it out. And then finally, I got invited to a screening of Woman in Black, Angel of Death, which is the second film, which you can also watch without having seen the first one. And the first one, as you might remember, had Daniel Radcliffe in it, but I didn't particularly enjoy that film. Woman in Black, Angel of Death actually has different characters. It's a different setting. It's set during the Blitz in London during the Second World War, when they had to evacuate a lot of children. So it's about a group of children who are put on a train with one of their young teachers, Eve, and they end up at Eel Marsh House, which is the house from the first film, which is cut off from the mainland by the tide for a couple of hours every day. And of course, as soon as they're there, scary things start happening. I actually had a really hard time trying to find someone to come with me, because as it turns out, none of my friends like scary movies. I actually used to adore horror films films. I used to watch them all the time, but I hadn't seen one in a long time. I wasn't crazy about the ending of this film, but it definitely had me on the edge of my seat quite a few times. And it also made me think about if a horror film without the cliches would still be enjoyable. I had a lot of fun watching it, so I'd say even if you haven't seen the previous one, or if you didn't like the previous one, you could still really enjoy this film. For a group of YouTubers, they had also organized a ghost hunt in the London tombs. I went with Lena, and I'm gonna insert some footage here. Whoa! We're here! The tour is about to start.
Yet again, a large shadowy figure stepped out right in front of us.
You want to just rub your hands. So what I'd like to do is just put your hands on the glass very gently.
It was organised by Haunted Happenings, which is a London-based ghost investigation organisation. We did things like try to make tables move while we had our hands resting on them, and we also stood in a circle with our backs towards like an empty dark corridor. We all held hands like they do in a scene in the film. I don't find that stuff very scary, so I volunteered to stand in a corridor with my back towards just the black emptiness. I'm sort of removed from the rest of the group, but I had a really great time and found it a really interesting experience. So those are the things I did and read and saw in the last couple of months. I'll put all the information you might need in the description. If you have any recommendations based on what I talked about in this video, or if you've seen or read any of the things I talked about, let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys later. Doei!